for me, make a know them. See as you light up my candle, ho ho, candle. Not only for you, I gon' bow. Hey, hey. Come on, quench this fire, desperado. Let me feel inside my commando, yeah, yeah. Dance for you, my baby, dance for you, my baby. We body here for my baby. I got you, my baby. I got you, my baby. I got you, baby. When you see my lover,
Hey guys, my name is Lassie and you're welcome to my channel. Welcome to Sci Fashion by Silla. And I will be showing you today how to make this beautiful sheath dress. If you'd like to know how I created this, keep watching. And please don't forget to click on the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. This channel is all about music, fashion, lifestyle, food, makeup, DIY, and so much more. You know, basically I'm going to be exploring my passion, things I'm passionate about right here on this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Now let's jump right into creating this.
Before we start, you need your full-scale bodice pattern to make this dress, so please check out my previous video for that. First, I slash the shoulder dart to the bust point, and then I mark a point 2 inches under the armhole and connected that point to the bust point. So right now I'm going to close the shoulder dart and slash that line under the armhole. Slip in a piece of paper, tape it down and draw out the dart. So the space created by closing the shoulder dart under your armhole becomes the width of your dart. Now I'm going to close the dart and redraw the side seam. So while the dart is closed, I'm going to trim out the excess sheet. So this is basically how you transfer darts. Next step, copy the full scale bodice pattern into a new sheet of paper and then extend the length of the bodice. So I'll be measuring from the tip of the shoulder down to get my desired length, and I'll be working with 41 inches for this dress. So I'll be referring back to my basic bodice pattern, which after sewing I got this fit. This is just a regular fit and it has loads of ease under the bust area, and I'll be taking off that ease. You know, after sewing I have 2¼ inches of ease under the bust area, but I will just be removing 2 inches out of my pattern to make it tighter around my underbust. So from the tip of my shoulder, I'm going to mark down my underbust, which is 13½ inches, while from my waistline upward, it's 3 inches and 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to mark that and draw out a horizontal line. So this line is my underbust. So now I'm going to be subtracting that 2 inches I got. So on both sides of the dart on the underbust area, I'm going to mark out 1/2 inch. So right now I'm going to connect the dart to that point I just marked, and then connect that point to the dart on the waistline. So removing this 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart on the underbust area gives me 1 inch. So I still have 1 more inch left to complete the 2 inches I'm supposed to take out of the underbust area. So I'll mark 3½ inches. This would be the length of my dart from my waistline down. Please note the extra ease I'm taking out of this pattern is the ease I got under the bust area. So I'm just going to distribute this ease between the front and the back pattern. but the underbust area will be taking more of this ease. The remaining 1 inch I have under the bust area, I'm going to distribute it on the side seam of both the back and the front pattern. At the side seam, I'll mark out 1/2 inch, and then I'll close my dart and connect from my underarm down to this 1/2 inch point I just marked. And then I'll connect it to the waistline. So this process is going to define my curve even more on this dress. So I'm going to redraw my dart. For the length of my dart, I came out 1 inch away from my bust point. So the next thing, I am going to take the hip measurement and place it on my hem line. And then to taper in the hem line of this dress, I'm going to subtract 1.5 inches. So this is going to give me the pencil kind of skirt shape. So then I'll connect from the hip line down to that point on the hem line. I'll just take my curve and just blend that sharp corner on the hip line. Because this dress is going to have a flat collar, I'm going to come down 1/2 inch on the front neckline, and then I'm just going to redraw my neckline. So now I'm going to close the dart before I cut it out. But before then, I'm going to add hem allowance, 1 inch hem allowance to my hem line. I'll fold the hem allowance first before I cut out this pattern. So for my back piece, I'm going to mark out my underbust. My shoulder to underbust is 13.5, while from my waistline to my underbust is 3 inches and 3/8 of an inch. So on the underbust line on the back pattern, I'll be removing 1/2 inch on the side seam. So I'm just going to connect from the underarm to this point and then connect it to the waist point. So we have the same curve we had on the front pattern. So the length of my dart from my waist at the back pattern is going to be 2 inches away from my hip line. For the rest part of the back piece, I'll be doing exactly the same thing I did on the front piece. Now for the back neckline, I'm going to come up 1/8 of an inch and redraw the neckline curve. You know, I'm doing this step because I'm going to be inserting the collar on this dress. So this step is very important. So right now I'm just going to add my zip allowance on the center back of this pattern. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and then place it on my fabric to start the making of the dress. Now, having done all the necessary adjustments on my basic pattern, so right now I'm just going to place my pattern on my fabric and cut it out. For the front piece, we'll be cutting on fold. So I fold my fabric into 2 and I place the front pattern on the fold. So we'll be cutting 1 piece for the front. I won't be using lining for this dress. I'll just be cutting out a facing for the neckline. I'll cut out the back piece as well, but this time I'll be cutting out 2 pieces for the back. For the Ankara design, I'm just going to mark the point I want the Ankara to sit. I'll cut out my Ankara fabric and then I'll place my Ankara this way and flip it upward, then sew along that line and flip it backward. Sewing it this way is going to conceal the seam at the front. So right now I'm just going to press it in place and then pin the M line. So I'll be doing the same thing for both the front and the back piece. So I just go ahead and pin up the M and take it to the machine to sew. So right now I've sewn all my darts, my waist dart, my bust dart. Now for the sleeve, I copied my basic sleeve pattern on a new sheet of paper, and then I reduced the length of the sleeve to my desired sleeve length. So the alteration I'll be doing here is just to reduce the cap's height of the sleeve by 3/4 of an inch. So from the tip of the cap, I'll be marking down 3/4 of an inch, and then I just take my French curve and connect to that point like so. And then I measured around the sleeve edge just to make sure it's going to fit around my armhole. The reason I did this is because I really do not want any ease on my sleeve edge. So I just want a set-in sleeve that just sits smoothly without ease on this dress. After making sure the sleeve is going to fit around the armhole, I then added my seam allowance. Now for the collar construction. I already copied my pattern into a new paper, so I'm going to overlap the front and the back with 1/2 inch. So I'm just marking that point and ruling this line as a guideline. So I'm going to overlap it like so. I'm just going to go ahead and use a tape to hold it in place. So right now, just like I did on the bodice, I'll come up 1/8 of an inch on the back neckline. Then I'll redraw the back neckline. Then on the front neckline, I'm going to come down with 1/2 of an inch. So I'm going to just connect that point to the neckline. So right now from that point, I'm going to mark down the length of my collar. So I'm using 3 inches. I'm going to mark it round. Then I'll connect this point together. So to get the front shape of the collar, I'll mark 1/2 of an inch on this point and then take my ruler and connect from the top to that point. And as I connect, I'm going to extend the line down. So on that line I extended, I'll mark the length of the front. From the shoulder, I mark down 3 inches on the collar and connect from that point to the front point. So at the back, I'll mark 1/2 of an inch as well and just connect to the top of the collar. So right now, take a tracing paper and copy this collar out, and then I'll go ahead and cut this collar on my fabric. So I'll be adding seam allowance on the collar piece as I cut. I'll be cutting out 4 pieces, of which 2 pieces going to be the facing for the collar. So this is one of the collar piece. I have the facing for the collar and the collar itself. I'm just going to go ahead and sew this and then attach it to the neckline of my dress. So right now I already fixed the collar to the dress, and before I did that, I made sure I attached the front and the back piece together, fixed my zip, and also fixed my sleeve. I also went ahead to attach the facing to the neckline of the dress. And the dress is pretty much done, but after testing this dress, I realized it was giving me this Air Hostess kind of vibe. I was getting the schoolgirl kind of vibe. It was just too serious. So I decided to do something extra to make this dress less serious by adding a ruffled M to the M line of this dress. So I'm going to take you through the process. So the length of this ruffle is going to be 7 inches, but for the Ankara length, I'll be using 14 inches. So after folding it in half, I'm going to get that 7 inches length. And for the width, I'll be using twice the circumference of my waist. That is the fullness I want for this dress. So I'll just go ahead and attach the two pieces together and fold like so before pleating and then attaching to the dress. So I did 4 box pleats, one for the center front, one each for the side seam, and one for the center back. So that's the 4 box pleats I did for the M line of the dress. So this is basically the last process of making this dress. So I'll just go ahead and sew this with my sewing machine and then finish it up with my scissor. And here is the finished look. Thank you guys for watching. I do hope you love this video. I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye.